Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline, I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz, I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show. Our guest today is one of our favorites, one of our first guests. I think you were like episode 40 and then like 200 something.
Yeah, we didn't even have microphones then.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Rachel Cannon. Hi. She's an interior designer in Baton Rouge. Okay, will you say Baton Rouge for me? Because I think
that's right. I say Baton Rouge or sometimes Baton Rouge. I mean,
Baton Rouge,
depending on how bougie I want to feel that day. Baton Rouge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's an interior designer in Baton Rouge. And like I said, one of our earliest podcast guests, she's a champion of the quiet room. Last time we had you on, we talked all about quiet rooms, but also the importance of having a home that recharges you in this busy, nonstop world. Today, we're thrilled to have her back to talk about how to make your home work for you, whether that's defining spaces for quietness or embracing traditional floor plans rather than open floor plans. I know that's a big one for you.
Yeah.
And then also tackling your organizational challenges. Yes. So, Rachel, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be back. And like, what an upgrade in your podcast studio from the last time we recorded in person. This is so beautiful. I love it.
And
well, when we did record in person with you the first time, we were at Karen Mooney's house.
We were.
We did have wine there.
We did.
So that, that's
was
a little bit of a downgrade, but
just a wee.
But then I think we recorded virtually the last time.
Yes.
So yeah, we're working it out.
I love it.
But okay, I wanted to start because for any of our listeners who aren't familiar with you and your work, first off, they can go listen to the other podcast episodes. But last time I mentioned we talked about quiet rooms, and that is a big element of your business is designing for introverts, designing for your personality. So I wanted you to kind of share that sort of philosophy, I guess, with our listeners, because I think it's so unique and it really sets you apart in the industry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think I landed on this in a roundabout way because I had been married and then got divorced. And what I realized was that I was so much more at peace alone in my house than I had been. Well, I mean, the marriage wasn't great, so there was that. But like on top of that, my home really played a major role in helping me recover from that experience. And I think it sort of it drilled home for me that your home could be the place that you want to return to the most. Whereas while I was married, it was kind of the last place I wanted to be because it was not a peaceful place. And I kind of took that and thought, okay, who else? It could be in a happy marriage or a happy relationship who is not being served completely by their home. And one of the things that just came to mind immediately for me was all of my clients who are married with children who live in these open floor plans. And it's just kind of like there's lots of noise and chaos and the family is constantly in one room all at the same time because the floor plan is open. And so I really kind of thought every home should have a quiet room. Like you should at least have one space designated to where it's not that you need to go hide. You're not trying to sneak away and go, hide in the closet for 45 minutes because you need a break or have a reason. I need to go take a bath and that's why I'm going to not be in this room anymore. Right. It's okay to say, I need some quiet time. And so why don't we just create a space in our homes that is conducive to that? So I don't love an open floor plan. It's not really a big secret. A lot of times we'll have clients who are thinking about a remodel and they'll get us to come in and they'll say, well, we talked to a contractor who said, knock this wall down. And I'm like, well, let's rethink that because how good are you with lots of noise? And how good are you with constant togetherness? Because it's not the answer for everyone. Right. If you don't have an issue with it, it's fine. Yeah. But I think by and large, most people, even extroverts, do need some time to just have a break from some, some stuff. And plus our schedules and our lives are so demanding right now. I just think, let's put that at the forefront and let's not make it such a bad thing to say I need 20 minutes to myself or I need 2 hours to myself. That's right. That's not a bad thing.
Well, I think even within a home itself, the timing that every individual in the house needs too. Everyone's schedule's different as well, right? You wake up in the morning and work out. I sleep in and do that in the evening. How do you having those designated spaces makes it and allows.
It's interesting that you say that because some friends of mine just built a house and they do have a schedule very similar to that where the husband gets up early and he works out early in the morning and she sleeps in. Yeah. I mean, she sleeps in not till the middle of the day, but they made their primary suite to where the bedroom and the bathroom are separated kind of like by a little vestibule. So he gets up and he goes into the bathroom and he can turn on lights and be in the closet and do all kind of things. And it's not disturbing to her because the bedroom is closed off. The door is still closed to that, which I think is brilliant. Like it's your home. You get to decide how it's designed completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's like those tiny little things that if your home is giving you friction every single day that add up. So being able to plan for it and know, okay, like you can shut the door and, whatever it is going to ultimately add up to make your life easier.
It is. And I can't tell you how triggered I was by the word friction just now, but that's it. Like, I friction, I don't thrive. I can't like ignore it. And I feel like there is a lot of that where it's just, and it's not necessarily like relationship friction. It's just, there's just something bothering me. And like, think about like, how often is it that you're in the kitchen and like 3 other people are in there with you and you're like, oh my God, like everybody needs to get out of here. I can't do what I need to do. It's just that kind of thing where it's like, maybe that kitchen wasn't actually designed for 3 people to be in there at the same time.
Right.
I'm speaking, of course, of my own kitchen because sometimes I'm in there and my boyfriend and his son are with me. Yeah. And the work side of the island is where all of the things are. And I designed that kitchen for me, not for 3 other people.
Right.
So I see now, okay, if we ever cohabitate, we're going to have a different configuration. But it's just little things like that. But I think I also realize now I'm self-aware enough at the moment, thankfully, to understand they don't think they're in the way. They think they're there to help and, enjoy spending time with me. And so I have to just like gently say, hey, why don't y'all go sit on the other side of the island while I'm over here on the work side?
Well, that's like why sometimes people put like a drink fridge or like a snack thing, or like they put the, microwave over off like in the pantry or something. Like we were talking about this the other day with an architect guest where all of that stuff is in a different, butler's pantry or a second kitchen or something, because that way when your kids or your whoever needs to get a drink, they don't have to come in your workspace while you're busy cooking and they can go to that. So sometimes it's a simple change, maybe not in a kitchen, but sometimes it's a simple change.
It is a simple change. We're working on a kitchen design right now where we did exactly that, where our client, so she loves the idea of a work triangle, which in theory I do too, but you can't always have that. And her kitchen is going to be, it has to be an L just because of the way that the kitchen is shaped. Like there's no 2 ways around it. And so I thought, okay, you have 2 little kids who will eventually be 2 big kids. So why don't we put the drink station, like let's build a whole other separate wall of like pantry and cabinetry where we've got coffee machine and drink station and ice machine. And like all of that can go on that side of the kitchen, not on the work side of your island. And then what we realized was she actually had room for 2 dishwashers, like without all of that stuff over there, like, which is great. I mean, think about what a luxury, Yeah. So it's, again, it just takes me back to all of this was just, I was in this phase of my life of just what do I want out of my life and what do I need to feel peaceful? And when we get the opportunity to do that for clients from the get-go, like let us actually design, not just decorate for you. Oh man, like that is just, I love it. Like I love
like the
that.
end result is like,
it's so much more holistic. It's not just finishes. It's not just, it's literally the space plan. It's literally, which was my training, is in the floor plan. So
well, you were talking about this even before COVID, which I think is so interesting.
That's what's wild.
I think COVID really exposed the floor plan for the flaws that it had. Whereas, maybe before COVID, I think everyone would have been like, oh, floor plan or open. It's like,
well, think
ideal.
about it. It's your home. I think I even may have said this on the last podcast it was designed for you to be somewhere else the majority of the time. And then all of a sudden we were all together all the time. And that living room with the sectional that seemed so cozy because you sat on it 2 nights a week. All of a sudden it was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And like people were like, I've got to get away from my kids. And you're like, yeah, tell me about it.
Okay. So do you feel like your clients typically push back ever? Or are they like, yes, we're on board. We totally agree.
So I think yes. Okay. It's kind of 50-50. Sometimes people will push back because I think it's a new idea. The idea that we don't need to always be constantly in the same space together. Things didn't used to be that way, but this is the generation of gentle parenting. So that's where we are. I think a lot of times what I see is there's one parent who is actually kind of relieved to hear it, where they're like, oh God, that sounds so great. Yeah. And then there's the other parent who almost has like a moral offense to the idea that you would like not want to constantly be together all the time. And I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to find the yes and like, you know, which is why I say it's not like, that's why I say just designate a space to just have a quiet space. It's not that, you know, we need to, if we want to knock down some walls, we'll intelligently and thoughtfully knock down some of the walls.
Yeah.
But we don't need to, the thing I don't like is to walk into a house through the front door. There is no definition to any space whatsoever. It is just a big open cavernous echo chamber. And you've got TV and hard surfaces and kitchen and clutter and clatter and cacophony. And I mean, it's just, that is literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel welcoming. That doesn't feel cozy. That feels like, okay, where's the next available room that I can go and shut a door?
Yeah. Well, it is funny because I think sometimes people think like, oh, that makes the room feel bigger. But then often with those huge rooms, I feel like sometimes it's like, okay, well, you can set up a seating area and you've got a floating dining room. But then sometimes there's space in between those two where you can't really put anything. Yeah. Because there's no wall. Right. And so then it's just empty space that you can't really figure out what to do with. Yeah. And so then it's like, well, now it's unusable space. Yes. And how helpful is that? You know?
I have pointed that out. I can't tell you how many times. Like, how much valuable real estate did we pay for right here? Acreage and square footage. That is nothing but a walk through. I mean, I would much rather have a wall with closet space or a wall with beautiful artwork or, you know.
Yeah. I do feel like there, you know, there's a like for parents, it's like there is a set of years, you know, maybe when your kids are like under 5 where you want to have eyeballs on them all the time. But then past that, once you're out of that phase, you're like, okay, I would like the cartoons in another area, please. Like, I don't necessarily want them right. Anyway, it's just, I think people often fantasize about that open floor plan when they have, when they're in a small window of time when it's really valuable, but then like it doesn't necessarily.
Well, so y'all both have small kids. I mean, I don't. So y'all tell me, I know you just built a house.
Oh yeah. And no, you want walls.
Yeah. You have, you've done it thoughtfully. You have open space between your kitchen and your living room.
And that's because I wanted to be able to see the TV I personally like from my kitchen. So that was like an important, but they are not one large room. Correct. They are a separated room.
But you've got eyesight.
It's open enough.
Mine's, it's open to a level that I truly felt those two spaces, but nothing else is. You can close off the breakfast room. You can close off
I love that.
So we have a bunch of, but then it is all rooms after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I just mean like you've got a little bit.
So that's what I'm talking about. The yes and solution is we have some openness and some walls. Like that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think I was going to say, I truly think it's so hard to build and design for. I think some people get so narrowed into that small set of time. Like I'm in this phase of life right now. This is how I function and this is how it's going to stay that I'm going to function. Yeah. Because we all change. To your point, you changed and you were like, oh, okay, this is, life's taking me here. And so I do think it's hard to plan for that.
And I would like to just encourage people to like allow the change to also influence some decision because you thrive. Like if you, I love that you're like, I liked to see the TV from the kitchen. So great. Yeah. Somebody else may not want that. Okay, awesome. But we wouldn't design those two things the same way. Yeah. But that's the beauty of like working with a designer is you have the option. And like, if there's anything I could encourage people to do, it would be to work with a designer while the plans are still being drawn by the architect. Like have somebody put some furniture in that plan to make sure this room is really as big as you think it is, or is it bigger than it needs to be? Yeah. Like, let's get some real scale stuff in there. Right. And look, architects are wonderful and they're necessary, but they're not, some of them are, but by and large, they're more concerned with the volume of the space and the flow and the, axis and the sun and the west facing and east facing. And that's wonderful because that's not my wheelhouse. Yeah. My wheelhouse is this bedroom an ice size or can you do a gymnastics floor routine in here? Because if it's that big, do you need it to be that big? Yeah. Would you like some other spaces carved out of this? Like we've literally figured that out before. But I like the idea of let's design for you, for your actual life. Like I didn't want a TV in my kitchen and now my boyfriend's like, can we get a TV in here? I'm like, no, we cannot. You can go to that room where the TV is.
There's a room right there for it.
There is a television viewing room.
Like I specifically wanted a living room without a TV. Really? That was,
You said that though. I think,
yeah.
That
obviously, we also need one with a TV.
Sure.
So I needed like 2 living rooms. I wanted one without a TV.
So your the non-TV living room is like your quiet room.
It's a den. Yeah.
It is your quiet room.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. We have a den with a TV, and then we have our living room, which is like where I go.
And that's your quiet room.
Yeah. And it's my quiet room.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but I think to your point, like just really trying to think about what it is you need. And maybe you need a designer to like be asking you those questions.
I think so. And look, I do understand that working with an interior designer is a luxury, but if you are in the position to be able to afford to build new or do a remodel, it is such money well spent, because these are issues that can be worked on paper beforehand. That is so much less expensive than it is to not consult with a designer, but do this full build out, build the brand new house, get in it,
and regret.
And then you realize after the fact, like, oh my gosh, this kitchen is not as big as I thought it was going to be. This walk-in closet is, I can only take one step in and turn around. Or I thought I wanted that open floor plan, but man, a wall would do me so much good right now.
Yeah.
No, it is true. That preparedness is so vital. And I hope I assume anyone listening knows that at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. You just launched a new and exciting element to your business.
We did.
And we were talking about friction earlier, and I feel like this is very relevant to friction. So tell everybody about it, because it's very cool.
This is never in a million years did I think that this was something that I would want to be involved in. It all came about because my best friend and I helped a friend move into her new house. And we were not doing it on any official level, but we're like unpacking her things and hanging her pictures on the wall and whatever. And I kind of jokingly said, hey, this counts as your job interview. And he goes, ooh, about that. I may want to talk to you about that. And I was like, excuse me, what? Like, for real? So we started talking about it. And he just kind of said, he'd been at the same position and he had a great job at a nonprofit for years. And he's like, I don't feel fulfilled, and I think I would be ready for a change. I said, okay, well, what would that look like? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, you don't have a design degree. He's like, I don't want to be a designer. Like, that's not my goal. I'm like, well, what would it be? I did need someone to step into like a financial role, which is where his background is. So we originally started talking about him coming on as my CFO, which is how I hired him. But that afternoon when we went to lunch, when we seriously had the conversation about it, his therapy was going home. He loves to reorganize his closet. It's like what he does for fun, like on a weekend. Yeah. And he sent me these like videos of his closet completely like beautifully reorganized.
Oh my gosh.
And I go, we should launch RCL Organizing. And we both were like, we should absolutely launch RCL Organizing. So we're still kind of in the figuring it out phases. But I think our angle on this now with organizing is less about coming in and decluttering your house and hauling off donations, and more about, let's get in on the jump. If we're going to design the kitchen for you, let's actually design not just the beautiful way the cabinets are arranged in the floor plan. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get all of the inserts. Let's get, if you've got a specific request that, like, for example, a lot of people talk about, I hate, when I pull the drawer out to get my pots out, where are all the lids going? Guess what? There is a product that organizes that. So it's kind of like, let's design it from the beginning to stay organized all the way through to the end. Now, clearly, if you need us to come periodically, maybe once a quarter, and let's do a quick closet clean out and do like a zhuzh or whatever, we can absolutely do that. But it's been a really interesting, if you think about it, it's like space planning on a really, really micro scale. And it's interesting now because he and I on Instagram we have like a shared album. And we're constantly like sharing stuff to the album together. Like, this is genius. This is genius. So we share content constantly with each other, where now it's evolved into like, oh, look at this amazing, it's a door that it actually opens twice. Like, you open the shallow part of the door and there's a spice rack. And then when you open the whole door, it leads into the butler's pantry. Like, it's like meta. Like, we're getting so detailed it's so exciting. Like, I love the idea of like, designed to stay organized. Like, I love this whole, because to me, that goes back to, I want you to thrive in your space. I want it to bring you peace. I have a client who, she is so into organizing, and like, it's all labeled beautifully. And I know that there are people that would bring a level to anxiety to, so we don't want to push it on everybody. But if this is something that like, it's going to streamline your life, it's going to make things easier. Like, we were talking this morning to a lady at the ADAC. I can't remember her name, but she was so sweet. And she was saying, my husband is constantly like, where's that electrical cord she's like, it's in the same place it's always been. And I'm like, so like in those situations, Yeah, like that's just streamlining your life. Like it's got its little spot. It goes back there every single time.
Yeah.
Like that's a level of peace for me that like,
Yeah.
we've got a quiet room. We've got an organized house. We come home and we're breathing a sigh of relief because we're in our little domain and everything is exactly the way that pleases us, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I do feel like it dovetails beautifully with your philosophy, you know, that idea of it, you know, being holistic.
Yeah.
I think the organizing seems like a no-brainer. And what a
It
smart
is.
way to plan in the beginning.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, and so the other thing is so Brandon, who is my CFO / vice president of organizing, and Riley, our senior interior designer, and I, all three actually became certified organizing professionals.
Yeah.
Like we took like we did it all. And so it's now interesting because like they even have a whole section on like how to identify a hoarder. This is not, you can't help a hoarder. Like that is it's a psychological thing. So like here are resources to give to those people. And then like you want to know, you don't just want to go and clean out. You want to have resources for people to donate things to. So they really encourage you to like donate to local charities. I'm going to say there's one very big place a lot of people love to donate to that is really a retail store. So let's not donate there. Find a local place to donate to because that is actually a nonprofit. And this is the one everyone knows is a for-profit and all of their product costs them $0. So we don't want to donate there. But I liked that idea of like, it's not just going in and cleaning out. It's like actual like help. And then it's giving back to your community. I love all of that. And like, you know, if you have a Habitat for Humanity, we have a Restore in Baton Rouge that we love to bring stuff to. And I mean, honestly, you can find really great stuff at the Habitat Restore. I don't know if you'll have one here, but like there's some good, actually y'all probably have a fabulous one since your store is here.
That we do.
And you might donate things there, but like that, like that's a great place to, you know, it gives back to your community. So I like that idea as well.
Yeah. Have you made any changes in your own house after being certified in organizing?
Absolutely. Yes.
Tell us about
So for
those.
me, so I guess my thing is I'm always like the last on the list because by the nature of like me doing this for a living, my house always comes last just because sometimes I just need to clock out. So I was sick a couple of weeks ago, and the week that I was sick, I made some truly unhinged organizing purchases on Amazon that week because I was like, oh, I've got all this time and I'm here. So absolutely, like we have a whole list of things on Amazon that we're like, these are great products that like we want to suggest for people. So I absolutely ordered a bunch of things for my own house. And then when I have like a little spurt of energy that week, I'd get up and like go put the tumblers in the new thing that I got to organize the tumblers. And it does, like, it brings you so much joy. And what was so cute was Chris, my boyfriend, comes over like the weekend after I started feeling better, and he opens up my little where I have all my cups and coffee and everything, and he opens it up and he's like, oh, this looks so good. Like it made him so happy to see it too. But yeah, like I think it's definitely, for me, it's a slower pace just because I feel like I'm maybe the guinea pig and I want to see what's good and what's bad, and I don't want to spend a ton of money up front on products that I don't love. So it's a lot easier for me to like, let's test something. If I don't love it, I'll send that one back and maybe try a different product later.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. What I will tell you is I think by the nature of being in the organizing and design world on TikTok, I have fallen into the underconsumption. Have you gotten there yet?
Yes.
What a dream.
Yeah.
What a dream.
What does that mean?
So influencers are all about overconsumption. Buy this lip gloss, buy this eyeshadow, buy these shoes. You need this dress.
You don't need
this
one
purse.
Stanley.
You
need a
need
Stanley
12.
in every color.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know, they've
Yes.
got like the beige and the white, and it matches
And
their outfit.
the limited edition. No, it's not. There's more than enough Stanleys. Like nothing is limited edition in 2024. So I guess by being on sort of like the romanticized interior side of TikTok and the organizing side of TikTok, it suddenly decided to put me on underconsumption TikTok, and I love it because it's like instead of an influencer showing you their closet that's full of clothes that they never wear, it's people that are like, here are my 5 makeup items and here's my 3 pairs of shoes. And I'm like, I mean, okay, that's a little extreme because I do love makeup and shoes. However, I know I have way too much of both of those. And so I think the other philosophy would be we could probably all really pare down what we think we need.
Right.
So, and this takes me back to, we spent some time at the Ballard store today talking about accessories, and I have that cantaloupe rule, like no accessory smaller than a cantaloupe. And the goal is to get you to have fewer, bigger, nicer accessories.
Yes.
And I think the same would be true for just everything. You need fewer, nicer things. You don't need 12 pairs of black pants. You probably need 2 or 3 at the most. A different leg on each one, but higher quality, better quality that you keep for 20 years, quite frankly, as opposed to the fast fashion. It's in, it's out.
Right.
And then, you know, we're all just throwing clothes away and they're all going and floating off the shores of Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, did y'all watch that?
I didn't watch that.
What was it called? I can't remember the name of it.
It's a trash island.
It was. It's basically where so the United States and a few other countries have an agreement with this other country in Africa where all of our clothes that don't get sold, that like they get discounted and discounted and discounted and discounted, get shipped off to this country. And so like if you've ever seen, it's sometimes it's kind of jarring because you see these children in these cities that it's very impoverished, but they'll have like a Ralph Lauren shirt on, or they'll have like some kind of a brand, like a Nike.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like, how did you get that? That's how. Because it ends up where they sell it for pennies on the dollar, pennies on pennies on pennies on pennies in their little markets. And then if it doesn't sell, they literally just dump it in the ocean. And so like, if you think about that, we all need to have several seats when it comes to this like overconsumption trend. Like it's too much. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in this phase of like quiet room, fewer things, nicer things. Like what actually brings you happiness? What brings you joy? Like 35 Stanleys is not going to do it. Like no offense to Stanley, but you know?
Yeah. Okay. So going back to the organizing, when are you doing it? Is it in the front end? Is it on the back end? Everywhere?
It's definitely on the front end because I feel like now that we have done a few on the back end where they were clients that we had worked with before that were like, they had come back and we kind of were like, hey, let's do your pantry. Like your pantry needs help. Mm-hmm. And that's great. I mean, those are fun. That's a quick turnaround. It's like an instant gratification kind of thing. And that's a lot of fun. But there is the designer in me is like, oh, I would have loved to have designed this pantry from the beginning. Like instead of it all being like retrofitted with canisters and containers and boxes and baskets. Like I would so much have rather it been like beautiful cabinetry that we could have designed that would have fit all of this stuff instead of just like rows and rows and rows of shelves. Mm-hmm. So I think while we can absolutely do both and they'll both have a great aesthetic, I think the goal long term is we want to kind of get in on the front end and make it more a thoughtful part of the whole design process, you know?
Yeah. So does that look more like insets into cabinetry or designing cabinetry to fit a particular container or like bin or?
So here's what I have learned in all of this. There are so many wonderful companies that do make sort of like the parts and pieces that go into. So like if you think about your trash pullout, your trash can pullout, everybody, well, a lot of people have the one that's got like the recycling and the regular trash. That is an insert from Rev-A-Shelf.
Yeah.
And then if you have like that dead corner in your kitchen, that little Lazy Susan thing, that is also a product that Rev-A-Shelf makes. So like knowing to look for those things in the beginning is just going to save everybody so much heartache down the road. And it's not just kitchens. I mean, they make closetry, they make laundry room, they make bathroom, there's an entire garages, storage rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much out there. And when you know what's accessible, and like Rev-A-Shelf's not the only company, there's lots of other companies that do it. When you know what to look for, what a gift to your clients too. And listen, there was a time in the beginning of my career where it made me very like overwhelmed to think about like, I don't know how to do all of that. I'm not a closet designer. And I kind of had to release some of that because I'm like, there are organizers who are designing closets. So you are both. You have the design degree and the license and the organizing license. Like you need to be able to put these two pieces together and offer them both. And so I think there are definitely some things where you could pick an insert that is specifically for that one canister. But I mean, if it doesn't have to be either or. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's definitely some of those companies make this is the trash can that fits in this pull out, but it doesn't have to be that. I mean, it's, but I do think there's kind of a simplicity to it where it's just, these are the specs on it. It's this wide, that's what's going right there in that drawing.
Right. Right. Well, I do think the thing that always like irritates me about organizing, like when I'm doing it in my own house is that, you purge and then you sort and then you're supposed to come up with a container that's going to fit not only the thing that you're trying to store, but also the space you're trying to store it in. Mm-hmm. And so then you just have to spend all this time looking at like dimensions of like, is this bin going to fit here? And like, how many can I fit? Is it the right depth? Is it the biggest possible bin that can fit in this one space? So I'm maximizing all my space. Anyway, that it's just a lot of, and so at least if you are designing your shelf on the front end, you can know, okay, this is the bin that I want. I'm going to be able to fit 4 and I'm going to make it to where I fit 4 perfectly.
Right.
And I don't have wasted space.
Right. I will tell you one of the things we don't like is any bin with a tapered edge because that little space.
Yeah.
You just lose it. And you're like, if it wasn't there, all of these could scoot over. We could actually find a whole other bin right there. Right. That's frustrating. But that's kind of what we did for that one client where we went back and did their pantry after the fact. And when I tell you, we literally measured that pantry and then drew the elevations of every wall and then went and sourced the baskets that would fit and how many would fit and what needed. So like, it's not all the same size. Like the cereal box baskets are bigger than the soup can baskets, but they're the same basket. But like, that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. And if you don't have like a CAD or some type of drafting tool available to you, I would quit. I mean, I'm just going to say like, this is too much. Like that is too much for me. But that takes me back to, I fully understand that this is also a luxury. Having someone come in and organize for you is also a luxury. So design is a luxury, organizing is a luxury.
Right.
But I do believe that that's all money well spent. At the end of the day, it is all money well spent.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you live better in those spaces. So
it does. And if we're focused on, we want to do this because we're trying to get to that underconsumption level.
Yeah.
Like I do feel like a lot of times we're just buying stuff to fill the hole in our hearts because other things are making us unhappy. And like if your house is just totally functioning and beautifully planned and aesthetically pleasing, like maybe that hole in your heart's not there anymore, you know?
Yeah. Were you always naturally organized? I feel like you're a very like high performing, like, you know.
I am. I have always had like a linear thought process. It's to the point that like, even at like, I see timeline in it's weird. I'm going to sound like such a freak right now, but like, like I have, when we're like, if you were to say to me last March, there's like a picture that pops up in my mind of like the calendar and it literally goes like this. And so if you were to say to me last March, I would think not this March, that March. Like it's so strange. I know that's so strange, but that's
you
how
have a mental calendar, like a timeline.
I have a mental image of everything in my head. I can't even tell you. Like we were having this conversation at ADAC this morning. Like I just am always sort of aware of roughly what time it is, not because I know the time, but because I know when I look at my watch where that hand is going to be probably on my, y'all, it's so weird. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but anyway.
I am organized, is what you're saying.
I really have never struggled with like time management or like getting from A to B, or that's never been an issue for me, where I know for a lot of people, it can be extremely overwhelming to think, oh my God, I've got all this stuff to do. I don't know how to get there. And I'm like, start at the end. What's the thing you need to do before that? Okay, before that, what do you need to do? Like to me, it's always just been like, just work your way back from where you need to get.
Yeah.
So like planning a project or planning a timeline or planning a financial goal, like that's never really been hard for me. So in that respect, yes, organization has always been like a strong skill. I didn't need a lot of help learning how to study or how to take notes or anything like that. But the actual physical, like organizing of things, like I've always kind of had my way of doing things. What was very interesting to me was to learn when we took the organizing course is not everyone organizes the same way. And so that's been kind of something we kind of go back and forth on, Brandon and I, because Brandon is a very like, we put it in this place and that's its home and it never needs to leave there. Uh-huh. I'm actually kind of the other way, where I'm like, if it's in a drawer, I forget about it. So like if it's something that I need on a daily basis, like it kind of needs to be somewhere visible or like easily accessible for me. So although I don't like a lot of stuff out on countertops, like in my bathroom specifically, there are things that need to be like, I have a medicine cabinet, like all my moisturizers and stuff staying there, because if they're in a drawer, forget about it. Like I have forgotten that I even own that thing at some point.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where I have identified my overconsumption in right, specifically, honestly, beauty products, because I just love beautiful packaging and it feels so luxurious. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the cream that changes my life kind of thing. And it's not. But yeah, like interesting for me to find out that there are, I forget what they call it, but there are like things put away organization and then things visible put. And I fall into the more visible. I need it close by. I don't want it out on my countertops, but I do need it close by.
I'm so glad to hear that you are team medicine cabinet, because I too am team medicine cabinet,
medicine
and
cabinet.
I don't understand why anyone wouldn't be team medicine cabinet.
Love it. Love a medicine cabinet. Love it. It's just such a simple, I mean,
did you put
all
medicine
of those
cabinets in
little
your
products
house?
are just right there. You didn't?
How do you store your beauty products?
In a drawer.
In a drawer.
But they're all organized in little clear bins within the drawer.
Okay.
Like it is still like, couldn't just have them all rolling around in the drawer. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So they're all perfectly standing up, and the morning ones are in one section, the evenings are in one. So I just hit each one and drop it back in.
I love that.
So there's organization within the drawer. But I wanted to use specific mirrors, and then it was like, and then I had looked up how to make the, And then
you were going to try to make them a medicine cabinet?
Yeah, where you make it, and then I was like, we just had a lot of space, so I was able to do drawers. So we just did drawers. So
I'm actually kind of moving, because I'm getting old. So I'm moving more towards I don't even want a cabinet all the way to the floor anymore, because quite frankly, I don't want to have to bend down to get anything. So I'm kind of moving into more of the let's just float that cabinet. And if it can't fit into the 2 drawers that are there, I don't need it. Yeah, I don't.
Well, it is true. I am with you on if I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist for me. No.
So, and that's where my overconsumption by far is, of course. So that is where I'm very conscious about trying to leave things out. So it's an interesting, so how are you doing that in the sense of not hiding things?
Keeping it out.
Yeah, how are you doing it?
Pretty.
So I will, confession, Rachel Cannon needs to do a massive purge at her home. Because, so here's how I ended up on this organizing kick in the beginning, is I actually had paid 2 different people to come organize for me at my home. And I really wasn't happy with either result. I felt like things got hidden from me, and it was it didn't naturally fit the way I lived in my house. Because
And was that prior to you taking the class?
It was.
So you then went to the class and you're like, oh, I do it differently than
no one asked me how I wanted things organized, which I was like, before we do anything, we have got to sit with our clients and ask, okay, what's your muscle memory? Because that's a design thing. That's not an organizing thing. If your muscle memory is always that when you're at your sink in your bathroom, you reach to the right to get something out of the medicine cabinet. When we redesign, a medicine cabinet is going right back there, because we're creatures of habit. So it's just little things like that. For example, I love velvet hangers. I don't know if y'all are on the velvet hanger kick, but I love them because they're condensed and your clothes don't slip off of them. And so I had already started using velvet hangers, and I had gotten rid of a bunch of clothing. And so I had a surplus of hangers, which hung in my laundry room, on the bar. Yeah. And so I went to find a hanger to hang. I wanted to hang some clothing on to dry one time, and I couldn't find my hangers anywhere. So I naturally went to the next logical place to find the hangers, which was all of my closets, and they were not in any closet. So I ended up having to text the organizer, be like, hey, you know that thing of all my hangers that were in the laundry room? Where are those? They had put them on a shelf in the laundry. I was like, oh my God, that doesn't make any sense to me. They're hangers. They hang on a bar. Why are they laying on a shelf? I'm short.
In
completely
a laundry
out of reach.
room. Of places. The bar in the laundry room is where the hanger stays.
That's where they should just live.
Just in the hotels where they make the loops so you can't take it off.
Yes. Yes. So that was one thing that really frustrated me. And then what I realized is this particular organizer was really, really committed to a lot of these principles that they teach you in the organizing class. All of your light bulbs should go in one place. All of your paper goods should go in one place. All things, all your batteries go in one place. I agree with you. However, I also don't want to have to walk all the way across the house to get paper towels if I'm at the sink washing dishes and I want to dry my hands. So I like a little surplus in my kitchen of 2 or 3 extras, but then the rest can go, in whatever. So just little things like that.
If you have an upstairs, you can't live that way.
You can't. Exactly.
We keep bulk paper products in the basement.
Right.
And then there is some right by the kitchen, and there's some upstairs in the laundry room.
Right.
So there's a access for top floor. You have to have that.
You have to have. So that's how I am.
Yeah.
And so what I'm learning is Brandon is actually more of the other way, where he's like, no, all the light bulbs should go in place. And I'm like, that is going to drive me insane. But it's good because we actually balance each other out, where he's like, but you need some structure. We can't just you can't put light bulbs in every room. And he's right.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, that's true. Yes.
He brings a lot to the table that we kind of meet in the middle. So as organized as I am, oddly enough, I'm more the flaky one than the creative one. And the organized, he is very much y'all should see the pictures of his closet. It looks like a showroom. It's everything is just perfect. There's a finger's width space between all of the hangers. It looks like a boutique. All of his colognes are beautifully displayed.
And see.
And then I go home and I'm like, this place is a dump.
Burn it down. Start
But no,
over.
I need to purge. I need to practice what I preach. But that to me is just I think I'm trying to learn more what is really useful for me. Mm-hmm. And it's got to start with a massive purge for me. And and I'm actually really thankful for the underconsumption trend, because that's been a revelation for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't need 18 of the same dress. Like, why am I doing that?
True.
I sort of disagree though, but I'm also like a uniform girl.
You are though. You're different, I think.
Even one of my friends recently was like, what is this shirt that you wear? Because you must have like 10 of them because you wear it all the time. I'm like, I do. I literally have 10. I have a uniform that I wear every day.
You have a uniform. It's really how many of the same jeans that I've commented on for years?
6 pairs. Yeah.
Yeah. She has this one shape. It's fantastic. So I understand why she literally dove in. She was like, cool, this is good. And
I'm getting it in every color.
This is my look.
Yeah.
This is it.
Well, here's going towards that capsule. Have you heard that? Like the capsule collection.
No, I'm going to tell you right now. I tried that a few years ago, and it was called like essentially you only own 33 pieces of clothing. That was the goal to get you there.
I don't do
but
that.
It was great because the process was very helpful. Where if you, let's say the goal is to get you down to, I don't know, 8 pairs of shoes. So 1 black mid heel, 1 black flat. When you have to walk around in that pair of shoes all day and ask yourself, if this is the only pair of black heels I have, could I wear them every day? Very quickly you realize, no, I actually hate these shoes. They hurt my feet. That was a good exercise to be like, I need to get rid of these because they just take up space in your closet and you don't wear them. But if it's clothing you're actually wearing,
right,
that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Well, I'm just more the cartoon character where I've got like 10 of, I've got the same thing and I just, go and I put it on. But that's my work from home. That's a work from home thing. I think. Cause like, I'm going to like school pickup and I'm hanging around my house and but I want to look like somewhat put together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
But anyway.
I think, and so this is where I vary because I'm like, I feel like the dressing is such a creative part of the process. Like,
listen, I am a clothes horse. When I tell you, I live alone and all 5 closets in my house have my clothing in them and they are packed to the gills. I am not
finger
exaggerating.
spacing?
No. I'm like sliding stuff down that rod every morning trying to get something out. Like it's bad, but I am aware of it and I know I need to purge. But I'm almost like from a textiles, like, oh my God, this dress I have on today.
This
I'm like,
pattern,
this fabric is so beautiful.
Colors,
I had to have it. I didn't need it, but I wanted it. So I'm just trying to balance some things, guys.
Yes. I was going to ask, what are some, in your time on this, and I know it's still a work in progress, but what are some easy fixes that you've found that your clients have like loved immediately?
Well, I do think the purge part of the process it's the thing everyone dreads the most, and it's the thing that they feel the freest after.
Okay.
It's not easy. Purging is hard because it's when was the last time you wore it? When was the last and then everybody wants to hold on to because they're like, oh, but I mean, I may wear it again. I may wear it. And my thing is like, if you haven't looked at it in a year, you're probably not going to wear it again. That's not an easy fix, but it is kind of I think everyone feels lighter afterwards. Mm-hmm. Honestly, Taryn, I don't know that there are easy fixes with organizing. It's a process. Like it is a big process. I wish that y'all could have been a fly on the wall the other day because Brandon and his husband, who is also Brandon, were at my house.
Wait, and Brandon and Brandon?
They're the Brandons.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
We need to get them on the podcast. I'm going to tell you, it would be your highest rated show ever. They're hilarious. They were at my house and we were trying to like organize me. It was
organize your house?
It was like the Three Stooges. Like, they were like, well, you should do this. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, oh my God, we can't help you. But it was interesting because all of a sudden I was the client and like they were trying to help me. And I would be like, but that's not how I use that. But no, because that's where sheets have always gone. Like, I don't want to move sheets anywhere else. But it's interesting because I realized like I'm kind of being the obstinate client in that respect. It was kind of a good exercise. Like, and I'm realizing like it's not easy. Organizing is not easy because it is kind of like that's why I say, what is your muscle memory? Because if you're like me, the not being able to find things is a disaster. Like it was a mental nightmare for me to try to go and hunt my things down after these people had come in and organized my house. So they came in and organized it the way that they would have done it. Like, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I'm this little neurodivergent, quirky person that, I need things my little weird way. And,
Well, I do feel like maybe the advantage to what you're doing, especially when you're doing it on the front end.
Yes.
And when they're building a house, it's much easier when you're having to learn a new house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
a new house, you're setting a whole new set of habits.
Right.
Because you haven't been there.
Right.
Whereas it might be a little bit more challenging to reorganize somewhere
with the habits already.
And with the same space. Because you've already got habits.
Plus, I think if the combination, though, that's why it sounds so beautiful, too, of nobody likes moving. and no one likes organizing.
Yeah.
And you have to do so much organizing. You move into these spaces, these beautiful new ones. You know, we were in the same thing where somebody had to be like, well, where did we
Where
say
are we putting in this?
yeah. Where do you want to keep this? And then you're like, okay. And you're thinking through, how are we using it? So for somebody to take that off, you're
Can you
like,
imagine what a luxury. I know.
right? To walk in and be like, it's
recently
all...
did this for clients. Now they haven't moved in because it was, y'all, first of all, I love these clients so much. They are the most fun. He has asked for a disco ball from the beginning of the project. Can I put a disco ball in here? I think we're going to like sneak one in somewhere before.
Oh, you have?
It doesn't matter. Any room. He just wants one in a room. It doesn't matter. Like can I put a disco ball? I think we may put one in their closet just for fun, just to be like, surprise. But it has been a very interesting process working with them. It's actually the house that they were in. It was supposed to be just a kitchen remodel. And the next thing we know, we have torn every wall down and we've added a second story and it is a whole new house essentially. But it's been interesting because they are basically in the same space, in the same house, but nothing is the same. And so redesigning their closet, because their closet did get a little bit bigger, redesigning that from the ground up was eye-opening for me. Because it literally was like, okay, well, wait, let's go back to the original plans. How many linear feet of hanging space did you have before? Because you need at least that much.
Yeah.
What was missing in the old closet? They didn't have enough place we literally said, how many pairs of shoes do you have? Like we were counting. So we need this many cubbies for shoes. We need, how many ties do you have? How many formals do you have? He owns a tuxedo. She owns gowns. Like literally planning the spaces for all of that stuff.
Right.
It can be done from the beginning, which like that's very exciting for me because I think I do struggle with I'm kind of like, that's the place that's always been and I don't want to move it kind of thing. But I would like to know where it was going to go from the beginning because that soothes me. Like that's kind of like I don't know, I don't like all that upheaval to my life. You know, I do want it to be organized. But yeah, like having the Brandons at the house that day and us kind of like trying to figure out like, this could go here, or this could go here. And I was like, we're not moving anything out of this room. I want it to stay in this room. I just need it organized differently in this room. They were like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm the worst client I know. I'm so sorry.
That is
But it's interesting because I'm like, now I have a little more sympathy if we were ever to get a client that's just like me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
That is
the
really
shoes
good
on the
point of
other
view.
foot. A
Yeah.
little bit.
Yes.
Like this is
I mean, and listen, look, even as a designer, I feel like it's not that I struggle knowing what I want in my own house. I mean, y'all know, y'all are in this industry. When it comes to, you see beautiful things all day long. And so when it's finally time for you to commit, you're like, I don't know, like I want to commit once and like have it forever. That's why a lot of the stuff in my house is like not done.
Yeah.
Confession time again.
No, I'm the same boat.
I have the big long-term plan of how this remodel, I've done the kitchen, I've done the dining room. Those are probably the two rooms that are what I would say are done really to the level that's like my standard. But I know the expense and the upheaval to my life that it's going to take to get to this next phase, which is like my bedroom and the bathrooms and the closets all have to be redone. That's major.
Yeah.
The plan is in place. Like I've drawn it and I know what it needs to be. But it's the pulling the trigger and being like, okay, it's time to commit. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's a very exciting thing to be able to add to your business. And I feel like I don't know that
I just think it's such a smart, it's a smart thing that you're doing.
It kind of seems like
to offer that
a little bit. And
does.
Yet, I don't know that anyone else does that. So
yeah,
very cool.
Well, it's a different flex to your point. I do think it takes a certain kind of designer.
Yes. Yeah, it does. And I will tell you, I could not do it without Riley and Brandon. Like they just got it. Like and in fact, Brandon and I had been taking the certified professional organizing course and we were talking to Riley about it. And I was like, would you even be interested in doing something like that? She was like, yeah, I would. I was like, oh my God, that makes me so excited. Like, yay. Like now we have like a team of designers and a team of organizers. Like that's incredible that we had the team that just was like, yes. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
I do think we should answer a dilemma.
Oh, we have a great listening, like a listener dilemma.
I'm excited. This is from a listener named Alex. And she says, hi, ladies. I'm a relatively new listener to the show. I'm already a huge fan. Well, thanks. I've been binging your past episodes while keeping up with the new ones, and I would love your help with my den. My husband, my 1-year-old daughter, and I moved into this new to us home about 3 months ago. This is the room we would like to focus on finishing first. By the way, Alex, great idea to finish one room first.
Yes.
I just have to point that out. Yeah.
That's my method as well.
The main dilemma I have is what to do with the brick fireplace situation. I'm not a fan of the color of the brick. It's kind of a dark red. but I wasn't sure what to do with it, so I've done nothing so far. I feel like it is a bit of an eyesore in its current state. What would your suggestion be? Should I paint it blue to match the rest of the trim and walls, or do some sort of lime wash? You also might see the blue painter's tape on the rug. I'm working to measure out options for a coffee table. With a young child, I'm thinking about an upholstered ottoman, but I worry that there would be too many soft materials in the space if I went that route. I would love your opinion since you all have had young children in your home before. Then finally, I want to get your thoughts on the rug. My style is a fresh take on Southern traditional, which keeps with the architecture of our home as well. I love the pattern along with the edge of the rug, but I worry that the design in the middle is dating our room. It is a high-quality, hand-tied vintage wool rug, but should I rethink it or reimagine it in another room? I would just be thrilled if you would help me. Thanks, Alex. She's got a great big living room. Mm-hmm. She does have this sort of dark red mantle, brick fireplace with a sort of wooden mantle. She's got some dental molding. She's painted all the walls and
a beautiful blue. Yeah. So all the, yes, it's a beautiful, muddy, soft blue. And there's a bar with glass in the back or with a mirror in the back.
Yep. She's got this big
Wood
rug
top.
that's sort of like a spice red and blue color palette. So, okay, Rachel, initial thoughts.
Okay, I love this rug, and I would not change the rug. I think it's beautiful.
It's well-sized to her room.
It's great size. It's actually, I'm very proud to see that she's got a rug this big because I think most people don't.
Yeah.
They go smaller than they need to.
And a real one.
And a real one, right. So I want to say, Lean, you've started this color drenching. Your walls and your trim are all the same color, your built-ins. Let's go ahead and paint this mantle and this fireplace because I agree with you. I don't think that this brick color is beautiful. I can see that the mantle has the same dental molding on it that the crown molding does, but I can't really see it because it's kind of, there's nothing kind of like,
Yeah, it's wood right now,
wood, yeah.
and it blends in with the red brick somehow.
I would paint this mantle, paint this brick the same color as your walls. I think you keep this rug. And I think, now one question I do have is we have two blue chairs in this room that appear to be the same chair that are in two different fabrics. And I actually love the darker one. And I would maybe get them both in that color. And then if you do that, you have this other chair on the other side of the room that's like this little chair with an ottoman. Mm-hmm. It could potentially leave this room if you were to do the upholstered ottoman in the center. And you could put your two skirted chairs like on either side of the ottoman. I don't think that's too much upholstered stuff in this. I mean, it's not. Listen, if you need the upholstery and you need to put your feet up, people want to put their feet up. I mean, quite frankly.
Well, and everything's skirted. So my question for you, other than there is a blue side table next to the sofa, but the other side is skirted. So would this be something where a upholstered ottoman with like legs might help?
Legs would be very helpful.
Because you just don't have that many legs.
Yep, legs would be. Actually, it'd be really cute is an upholstered ottoman with upholstered legs. Like, have you seen those? Where the upholstery goes all. I love that look.
We actually,
you have one.
Did one.
Did we just?
Wonderful.
It came out today.
I want to say it's called like. Well, I'll have to find it, but I feel like we just came out with one today.
I love that, and that's a little bit more of a.
And it's your lucky day, Alex.
It's a little bit more. This feels very traditional, so that could be a nice counterpoint to all of that very traditional.
It's look. A little more contemporary of a look.
Yeah, cleaner, more tailored.
But you could do it in a more traditional like pattern that would kind of blend. Yeah.
One other thing I want to suggest is I do like her artwork, the two birds. I think that they are probably on a wall that's too big for them because they're spaced too far apart. So like a bigger statement piece of art on that wall over the sofa would be really pretty. And then,
or what if could she, if she does want to keep them there, could she like push them together and put something else on either side?
I was wondering if she could. I think they're too small for that wall. That wall's really, really, really long. Yeah. It's a really long wall.
That is always hard. Yeah. I do think the art is great for the rug.
It is.
So if she does an upholstered ottoman in the center, what would you think for fabric to help really tie that rug in, seeing as she's not fully on board? And I know obviously you don't, but like which way would you lean for that? If she did the chair in the darker and both of them in the darker blue and the rug is all blues and red and whites and creams with a little bit of...
I don't know. I would have to go look at fabric. I don't know. I can't.
What if she put the two birds over this...
the smaller piece?
Wooden chest?
Yep. I was thinking the same thing.
And then she could
where
move
she has the ducks.
The ducks over the mantle.
Yes. Absolutely. She could do that.
If it'll fit. It might fit if you like were to lean it.
Well, she could, also that mantle doesn't have to stay on that fireplace. She could, or it could be lowered.
Okay, I do have two upholstered ottomans. And I was just going to let Alex know. Great for kids. You have to be okay with they are going to turn into jungle gym furniture. Or at least mine are. You know, like it is really hard to resist standing on it, jumping on it, laying on it, rolling off of it onto the floor.
100%, but I also have 2 boys, which I do say there is something to that, but and they get on the wooden one as well.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's regardless. Either way, it's going to happen. Okay. Maybe.
I don't know, but I want her not to think that if she puts in a wooden one that she's now, like,
that she's
they're
avoiding
not gonna touch it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Either way, might jump from that to everything's a jungle.
So I do like having it. I mean, you're going to put your feet up on it, but I don't like style it. I have a tray that like sometimes we put drinks on, but
I also want her to get another one of these red lamps.
The red lamp is really pretty in here
to get more red. And I
it's
definitely
a good little pop over there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's what I guess with the fabric on the ottoman, I was thinking she'd need a bigger pattern because then she'd have a solid sofa, a solid blue chair. But I guess it all depends. Yeah, like you said, that is a hard call. Look at her cute little outdoor. I'm sneaking through her French door. Yeah, out through her French doors. And I'm like, look at her little bamboo chairs.
Like it's a really good space.
Yeah, she obviously has tons of taste and loves design. Yeah. So Alex, you will. Yeah. I know you will do it.
And send us pictures when you finish.
Yes.
Did we answer all of the questions? Okay, she said, we love the rug. Don't change the rug. Mm-hmm. Yes to the ottoman. If you want, maybe try something with a leg and then paint the brick blue. Move your bird pictures to somewhere else in the room, a slightly smaller wall. Okay. All right. That was an easy one. You were fast, man. Yeah. You really knocked that out.
I mean, I'm shocked she doesn't even have toys in this photo. You did a great job.
She must have cleaned up for us. Yeah.
That was nice of her.
I wonder, okay, so she has a lamp on either side of the sofa. I wonder if she should move a lamp to that wooden chest and then get a pair for on either side of the sofa.
I would like a pair of the red on either side of the sofa and maybe like some little candlestick lamps or like a candlestick lamp on that little smaller piece. They do have the TV over here in this other corner, which I'm wondering, I would maybe suggest getting that piece of furniture out of there and just mount the TV on the wall. Because it feels like a lot of stuff like on walls around the room, you know?
Yeah.
But then it's not weird if there's nothing under the TV?
I don't know. I haven't been in the house, but I feel like that's just a lot of like stuff.
Well, I just meant in general. Is it
Oh,
okay?
No.
It's okay to have just the TV on the wall, nothing under it.
It's probably not what I would consider ideal, but I feel like this piece of furniture feels we've got 2 very big pieces of case good furniture on the same wall, and I don't love how that looks.
Okay.
Unless they were a pair, which would be beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't think the TV and they're not the same scale. So
got it. Well, Alex, we're so glad that you found us. Thank you for listening. Go back and binge Rachel's old episodes when you hear this new episode. Don't forget those. I mean, I know we've got like 370 episodes, so you've got a lot of
That's amazing.
Got a lot to catch up on.
Y'all have done a fantastic
I was going to say,
job.
you can tell based on our,
I know, we're like, we stopped counting.
It's how to decorate podcast on our piece of paperwork, and it really says episode 3XX. So this is not for children's ears with our double X's.
Don't care.
Yeah, they don't care either.
Hilarious.
Rachel, it's always such a treat to have you here. So glad to have you in person too.
I know.
So, but
you are such a fun follow. I recommend everyone to follow along, and you're full of tips and tricks all the time.
Yes.
It's true. Too. I feel like that's what we try to give, and so I do appreciate that you give that on your own personal, spaces.
You also have a good newsletter.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that means a lot.
Yeah,
you never know if people are actually.
Oh my gosh, no!
I
read
put
it
out there.
Yeah.
I wish you had a podcast.
Gosh, well, guess what? I may have some old things you might be interested in buying from me. No, I have loved being here, and it's so good to see y'all. I mean, we all follow each other, business but personal too.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I just want to say I have loved following y'all's lives and watching y'all your little families have grown, and it feels very I don't know. It feels special that I've actually know y'all. You know.
Yeah.
So. It's true. I feel like we're friends.
We are. Yeah.
Well, now I seem mean.
But I know what you mean.
I know what you mean. But I mean, truly, think about if we hadn't followed each other the last time, then COVID would have happened. Y'all have lived whole lives. You had a whole baby in the middle of all of that. And built a house. And I followed the entire journey. The little dump truck with the dirt in the front of the yard every day. The daily trip to the dirt.
Every day.
Are you watching her mural?
No. Oh my gosh, wait.
I can show you it. It's
Okay.
I'm working on a mural.
Okay, so this is my frustration with Instagram right now is it's
it's
very much not showing me the things I am interested in, and it's showing me things I don't want to see, like memes all the time.
And like ads and
very weird reels of stuff that I don't.
Well, yes, she's painting her own chinoiserie mural in her dining room.
Wait, so do the listeners know what Taryn's job is with Ballard? Like, do y'all? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, hopefully
we announced
they do.
it at the beginning.
Every time they say it.
When we were in the store earlier,
it's in our introduction.
Rachel was like, "Oh, which of these
settings did Taryn do this one?" Like I knew, I was like, Taryn painted this. Like, what a cool job! Like,
I'm very lucky.
That's a great,
very cool job.
And you're so creative too, like that. Oh my gosh,
you're so kind.
I did tell you that I was telling Blair about this recently, right?
Oh, you're
because she just has been telling me she wants to be an artist, and so I'm like, well, you can use you can learn art and you can practice your art, but you can turn it into lots of different things. So if you want to be an artist, that doesn't just mean like
canvas,
painting a canvas and selling it. And then so I was telling her about you.
I love that. How old is she now?
She's almost 6.
Is she really?
Yeah.
So ironically, our kids ended up at the same camp this week.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Of all the camps in the city.
Oh.
Well, I saw Elliot's name tag and I was like, wait, is that the Elliot? Which Elliot is this? I was like, hey, Blair.
Which Elliot in Atlanta is this?
You never know. Elliot's a good classic name.
Good name.
There could be several. Anyway.
I've loved being here. Thank you all so much for having me. Of course. Anytime.
We're such fans of yours because I don't know that after that first podcast episode, we were like, she's the best. She's so funny.
Well, I hope I didn't disappoint this time. I think I'm
Not at all.
I think the pandemic, the pace of the pandemic kind of made me chill a little bit, which I probably needed to do. But it kind of just brought a lot of stuff into focus for me, like what's important, what's not important. Like,
that's good.
I need to enjoy my life. And I do.
Good. Good. All right.
All right, y'all. Thank you.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy
decorating!